In this video we will talk about 5 reasons the UK economy struggled in 2023. After a turbulent year for the economy, you may have had enough of 2023. Though it ended on a brighter note, with UK inflation falling below 4% and Chancellor of the Exchequer Jeremy Hunt somewhat controversially finding room to reduce taxes in his November 22 autumn statement. His tax cut for individuals, a 2p reduction in national insurance, will take effect shortly. This late flurry could not disguise the reality that this was anything but a vintage year. As many people and businesses will attest, growth figures were revised lower, snuffing out even a tiny expansion from the northern spring, and the challenges and problems came thick and fast. These are the 5 things that made life hard. Number 1, an enduring cost of living crisis. Until its fall at the end of the year, the main story with UK inflation was how slow it was to subside, and how it remained significantly higher than in other leading economies. The inflation rate remained above 10% for several months at the start of the year and did not drop below 5% until October. Most notable about this cost of living crisis were the price rises for essentials. Food price inflation topped 19% in March, its highest level for 45 years, and even at the end of the year it was above 9%. Household energy bills edged lower, but in November they were still more than 22% up on 2 years earlier. Number 2, high and volatile interest rates. At the start of the year, the bank rate was 3.5%, by the end it was 5.25%. Its highest level for more than 15 years. Every time the Bank of England appeared ready to call a halt, a disappointing set of inflation figures intervened. By September, when the bank narrowly voted to pause its rate rises, the die was cast ash. And it continued to insist, until the end of the year, that people should get used to this new level for the cost of borrowing, with rates set to remain higher for longer. Official interest rates were only part of the story. At the start of the year, mortgage rates were still responding to the crisis caused by Liz Truss's brief premiership and the mini-budget unveiled by her even shorter lived Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng, in September 2022. Number 3, a stagnant economy. The latest figures from the Office for National Statistics confirmed what many already knew: that there has been very little growth in the economy. One of Sunak's pledges, as well as having inflation, the preserve of the BOE, was to grow the economy. But the ONS told us that the economy shrank by 0.1% in the latest quarter, and did not grow in the previous 3 months. Ministers have been boasting that the economy confounded gloomy predictions at the start of the year by avoiding recession. But the latest figures show it was a close-run thing. If the economy were to shrink in the current quarter, it would meet a widely used definition of a technical recession though a fairer way of describing it would be as a flatlining economy, which the UK has been since the start of 2022. Households, squeezed by higher mortgage rates and the cost of living, contributed to the weakness, reducing their spending. In the latest quarter, the later evidence suggests Black Friday discounts led to a rise in spending in November. Retailers will be hoping that this did not detract too much from their December figures. Businesses also reduced their investment, despite tax incentives from the Chancellor. Number 4, taxes rose but public finances are shaky. Although Hunt announced tax cuts in his autumn statement, and is eyeing up more for his March 6 budget, the big picture is one of payments to him, revenue and customs going up. Income tax allowances and thresholds are frozen, which at a time of inflation means a stealth tax increase eventually worth as much as £50 billion, $93 billion, to the Treasury. The Institute for Fiscal Studies estimates that 14% of people will soon be paying higher rates of income tax, compared with 3.5% in the early 1990s. Businesses are also paying more, with the corporation tax rate having risen from 19% to 25%. This extra tax has not yet fixed the public finances. In the first 8 months of the current fiscal year, the government's net borrowing was £116.4 billion, £24 billion up on the previous year and the second highest on record. Government debt is almost £2.7 trillion, 97.5% of gross domestic product. Number 5, strikes and poor public services. There were 3.7 million working days lost as a result of industrial disputes in the 12 months to October, the largest number since the late 1980s. A problem the UK thought it had solved as a result of union reform returned. Strikes blighted the railways, in the NHS, where the junior doctors Dispute remains unresolved, they contributed to record waiting lists. Though the government's failure to follow through with its proposed health and social care levy also showed that funding was an issue. Strikes were concentrated in sectors where union membership remained strongest: the public sector and former nationalized industries. While nearly half of public sector workers belong to a union, the figure is only 12% among private sector employees. So, a bumpy ride. The Chancellor of the Exchequer has said he expects better things in 2024. And, despite high levels of government borrowing, will hope to offer more tax cuts in the spring. He will be aiming to gain an electoral advantage. The rest of us will be hoping that the economy can avoid more shocks, both self-inflicted and those arising from global events.